I've got 1:30 straight up, so we will go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I think we do have an official quorum. Is that correct, Beth? Okay, quorum here. Let me just go ahead and introduce everybody real quick. Mr. Bill Hurt, I'm Jerry Morgan, Chris Gibson, and Dan Doss, and those not in attendance, Joe Hafner, he was working out of town today, and Matt Crawford was, I think, out of town also. We've got the minutes from the last meeting that was held March 13th, 2018. We sent those out previously, asked everybody to look at those. Did anybody have any corrections on those?
Move to adopt unless any changes are noted.
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes from the last meeting?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go into the review of the financial status. Pull up the tax collections for the first 6 months of 2018. Want to thank Bill Resnicek for helping us get these together today. And this is through June. Pretty much, I guess it would be pretty much everything through June, correct? So the first 6 months, we've collected $311,752. And that's approximately $10,000 below the same period of last year, the first 6 months of last year. I know Bill did some research and we checked on that. Bill did. And I feel like the majority, the biggest contributor to that was May. We had a lot of wet weather, as y'all know, and a lot of that, we have a lot of construction, as you know, and so when the construction is down, which it was in May because of the weather, then the hotel rooms were not as full during the week. But it seemed like the weekends, we still had plenty of the same number of people after talking to some other hotel owners. And so the good thing is I do feel like the next 6 months, the numbers will start coming back up. One main contributor is the new Holiday Inn that Naz Kazi just got opened about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's had a soft opening, but that seems to be going really well. And so that alone, I think, will help quite a bit. And then hopefully better weather, more events going on in town, that we'll see this snap back on a positive trend, but we're still in line.
Tournaments coming up? Tournaments, basketball or softball?
I'm not sure. I know a lot of we just had a tournament we had the big one this last weekend, and then we had a big one about a month ago. I think a lot of the baseball tournaments are kind of finishing up for the summer, but there are some big softball tournaments coming up. So
Summer's just not getting here.
well, yeah, the baseball seems to usually finish right before the 4th and give the kids 2 weeks off before they go back to school. And anything else to add on that, Bill, that you can think of?
Right.
In addition of the new Holiday Inn, as you said, he's already seeing really strong numbers with the soft opening, so it's a good indication of where we'll have some growth.
Okay, and then I have not heard an updated completion date for the one at Hilltop across from the hospital, but it looks like it's steadily coming along. So those will be really big factors, because I think we lose rooms to Paragould right now during the week, it seems like. So, okay. Any other questions or comments on the revenue trends? Okay. The next report is 2018 revenue and expenses projected, and this was as of the 27th, as of yesterday. We've got the list of fundings that were approved was $755,000. I think we scroll down to the bottom and it'll give, yeah, right there, $755,000 is what was approved in funding. We did have 2 events that did not happen or have notified us that are not happening. The Jehovah's Witness Christian congregation, they are going to hold off and probably come back this next year for request. I did talk to them, and they just really couldn't get enough hotel rooms, they thought, for this year, but they're going to come back next year and hopefully be able to do that, because that was the biggest contributing factor for them to hold off a year, was the number of hotel rooms. So, and the other one is the DARE program, just because of the lack of overall funding, they withdrew their request. Is that the only withdrawn? Was there another one?
We have one for today, the pro rodeo.
Okay, pro rodeo. Okay, that is not going to happen. So, I'm trying to see, how much did we approve?
For rodeo.
25.
2,500. Okay, so that's not a big amount. So we'll take that one out. But so we did have 755,000 that we approved, and so we have 22,500 that we'll take out of there. So far for 18, we've had payments of $258,000. And so we have unfunded commitments of $477,000. Actually, it'd be less than that with those other 20,000 off of there. If you look at the very bottom, the current cash on hand as of the 27th was $379,000. The projected revenues for the next 6 months, I'm estimating at $56,000 a month. That's kind of the average. Would be $336,000. I think that is a conservative average estimate. So total cash plus expected revenues of $715,000. Remaining funds committed for 2017 is $19,000. Those are kind of some rollover expenses from the Barbecue Fest and some other things. And actually, I think those events came in lower than expected. So I really don't think we will be funding those, but I just let those in there until I confirm that 100%. Remaining funds committed for 18 of $477,000. So we would have an estimated year-end cash balance of $218,000. And again, I think that's probably a very conservative estimate. I think we'll end up closer to 250 or a little above that, with increased revenue from the hotels and some decreased expenditures on some of these events that may not get fully funded. And some of the ones that we fund on an annual basis, we are trying to distribute our cash flow more evenly. And some of the larger ones, we are doing quarterly payments to those, which helps us on our funding cycle. Beth Smith has helped us with that tremendously, where we're doing those, issuing those quarterly. So most of the quarterly payments have gone out, except for the Hispanic Center. I think we still have to send that out. So anyway, I think the cash flow is going really pretty much right on target. So, any questions on any of these items or any of the numbers committed on here? Okay. We will need a approval of the financials, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. New business. We are currently working on the new application for 2019. That will be right around the corner. We've got a couple of minor changes. If y'all remember last year, we did a significant overhaul on the application packet. Probably the biggest portion of that, we required significantly more information, more detailed information, and then made it very specific on what the uses of funds can be, and also made it very specific that we are going to require follow-up reports, and that was the biggest change. We took some documents from some of the other A&Ps that were willing to give us their information from around the state and combine it with ours. And so I think we have a really good packet now, and it'll help us really target more into organizations that will provide more overnight stays for our hotels and restaurants. So really the only revisions we have for this year, we are going to ask each organization, instead of just bringing us one copy or send us an electronic copy, we're going to ask them to go ahead and bring us 8 copies for all the commissioners when they turn those in, because we made copies for days. I mean, you've got 30 or 40 requests and 100 pages each on some of those, so we're going to ask them to do that. No electronic submission, just because we need the hard copies, and also make sure none of them get lost in email. And while we did have this in last year's, we're going to make it very specific on the use of funds, that we really have got to make sure that none of our funding goes towards staffing needs of programs, and it's more event-specific and needs to be detailed to that degree to make sure the money is going to promote the events that bring in the overnight stays, and we're not just doing continuous program funding. So those are going to be the changes, pretty much minor across the board. Our plan is to have these changes in place. We don't have to adopt these today. Just ask the commissioners to look at it, look at the packet that we've put together, and if you have any other suggestions, to let us know. And then our plan is to send these out and be ready to put online probably within the next month or two. Would that be right? Okay, we'll do that by August 1st. The deadline will be October 1st because that falls on a Monday. And then we'll set the date after that for the requests for the committee to review those. So any question on the application process? Okay. The update on the website development, Beth, do you want to speak on that? First, let me just say Beth is our executive director. She helps us on all of these things. She helps with all the paperwork, which is a tremendous amount. She keeps us in line. She also makes sure that we get the follow-up reports and does a really good job of all that. And make sure we come to the meetings, and because we don't want to call a meeting and not have a quorum. So Beth, I'll just let you update us on the website development, which we're working on.
Chairman Morgan and I, as we reported at the March meeting, have been doing some research on websites, and I have visited with representatives from the College of Business about having an intern work with us next fall to do that. I am also investigating, the folks that are involved couldn't talk with me till tomorrow, so I'm sorry I can't report back on that. But I visited with the people in Bentonville that do their website for their AMP commission. They pre-purchased that, and they're going to talk with me tomorrow, as is their salesperson is coming. We're going to do it by video phone conference, but it's a tailored program. It's also the one that Eureka Springs uses. So if you have a chance to look at what Eureka Springs does and what Bentonville does, it is the kind of website that we're looking for. We may be able to develop it locally, and I hope that we can, but it's options for things to do, places to eat, places to stay, events, festivals, all the things that we would want to promote as we did that. And as we reported in March, Jerry has already reserved the Visit Jonesboro. We have some names tagged for ourselves once we can get this in place.
Yeah, we've got the names reserved, and our goal is to create a Convention and Visitors Bureau website. That way, somebody comes for a tournament, they can pull that up, because right now there's nothing out there that shows, a list of hotels, list of restaurants, a map of the city. There's different things, but you've got to really be specific, and this will give us the benefit of just having one website for the city, which is desperately needed. So.
Let me say, too, when I was visiting with both of those folks, part of the way that they do that to keep that information populated is you submit your information, and then it pre-populates it to keep it current. It would be difficult unless we were prepared to hire somebody to just monitor it all the time, but they would upload the details, the pictures, the start day, the everything, and then we monitor it and say, yes, this would be an appropriate event to include on our webpage. So I think that streamline the process.
Right. And that's been the biggest challenge, is trying to figure out how to, you could almost have a full-time person having to do just that. And so we're trying to figure out how to do that on our limited budget to make sure we keep that information relevant and up to date so it's correct. So.
Any other questions I can answer?
You also visited with the O'Reilly Group on.
I did.
Okay.
I visited with their group salesperson, their web salesperson, and she is checking her contacts for some other places, particularly Denton, Texas, that has a university campus and a convention center property that they have opened to see what they're using and see what option that might be available to us as well.
Because that's going to be crucial when we get the convention center up and running.
Right.
Correct.
Any questions, in that regard? Thank you. We do need to, based on our bylaws, we do need to formally elect a secretary and a treasurer for the A&P Commission. The role of the secretary will be to basically keep the minutes. Beth actually does that for us, so basically review the minutes and present those. The role of the treasurer will be to do the financials. I do those currently, but it needs to be a separation of duties. I would like to nominate Joe Hafner as treasurer since he's not here today. And then Chris Gibson as secretary. And so I need a motion and a second for those.
I will abstain.
Okay. We're going to abstain. Bill, Dan, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, is there any other new business? Okay, we'll go into funding requests, and again, we don't look at new funding requests until the fall, and we do make exceptions at times where there's a brand new event that will bring significant value to the city and did not have time to do that previously in the normal cycle, but that is an exception. We do want to hear some follow-up information on a couple of them that are happening. The one that was previously approved, and we just had the pro bowling tournament. Corrine, do you want to come and visit on that? I think she's got some really good news for us to look forward to for this next year, and wanted to go ahead and give us an update. And I knew we had a lot of agenda and thought it'd be a good time for her to do that. So.
Also have my follow-up report to submit to you. This is Kelly Stevens. He is our GM. He and I co-direct the tournaments that come in. The tournament was another success. We had people as far away as Malaysia come this year, which was a huge, to me, was a huge thing for us to have somebody come from that far away. It was a three-day tournament. We brought people in from Dallas, Illinois, Texas, I think Florida. So they come in from all over the state, the other surrounding states. We do have something exciting to announce. Next year, Kelly and I have been working on this for about 3 years now. Next year, it will be a live event on Fox Sports. They will be coming in for 1 week, not 3 days. So you can imagine what that's going to do for the hotels. You can imagine what that's going to do for the restaurants and the other events here in town. We are expecting, I know y'all may not know, I know Mr. Gibbons came out 1 year and watched the tournament. Belmonte, who has been the #1 bowler for the last 6 years in a row, he will be here. We will have the top 75 bowlers from all over the world that will be here in rankings. We are going to have probably about 125 pro bowlers. There will be no amateurs allowed in this tournament. We will have all the Fox Sports here. One of the things that I'm most excited about is Fox has told us that they're going to go out and film our city and Arkansas State, and there will be segments that will be on the show. Right. So I'm proud of Kelly and I. This has been 3 years in the makings. Also, to have somebody like this come in and do Jonesboro. Oh, and the other thing, we're the only center that is 75,000 or less. All the other towns they're going to are 100,000 plus. They came to us and sat down and talked with us, said all the bowlers wanted to come here, that they loved Jonesboro. They love the hospitality. So now it's going to be bigger and a lot more money to host this tournament too. But as you can tell, I'm kind of nervous and kind of excited about it too. So if you have any questions, Kelly and I would love to talk to y'all about it. There will be 18 huge 18-wheelers coming in with all their productions, and that will be, like I said, again, going around and filming our city, which I don't know anybody else who's done that or brought that to Jonesboro.
I assume you've already got dates set for this?
It's going to be February 26th through March 3rd. We're no longer going to be in June. So we won't be competing against Miss Sharon back here. you know. Any other questions? I will tell you, we had an average, with just the bowlers, there was about 50 hotels for 3 nights that they rented. So that's a lot of hotel rooms. There will be more next year, a lot more, because we're going to be staying 7 days instead of 3 days. I know they're bringing in how many members?
Where normally it's just Pete McCordick is the director for the Southwest region, and he runs the regional tournament by himself. With this being a national event, they have 12 employees just for the PBA alone, not counting the production team that will be coming in. Once qualifying finishes on Friday night, we have to start just taking out furniture from the city area, and they'll be installing bleachers. We're looking for about 300 plus people just for the live event on Sunday afternoon from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock that will be on Fox Sports 1, not counting the people that come in and watch the event throughout the week during the qualifying. Tuesday, Wednesday is qualifying. Thursday cuts down to the cashers. I'm sorry, Tuesday is practice, Wednesday, Thursday qualifying. Friday is the cashing round where it goes into the match play portion. Once that completes, they're down to the final 4. We'll have our pro-ams that normally happen on Friday night will happen during the day on Saturday. We're looking to have 3 different squads starting at 10 a.m., finishing about 6:30.
Our special needs, don't forget.
And then we look to bring some of the guys in like we did this past year, or the past 2 years. We bring them in on Thursdays and have a special pro-am with special needs. And we've averaged 81 to 90 entries for that. We bring the guys in the day ahead of time. That's not even for the tournament. This is just these guys come in to put their time in for them. So we're going to do that on Monday afternoon. So then we're going to make a week-long event out of this. And of course, like she said, where they go in and out of commercials, they go around and get snippets of the city for publicity for Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Northeast Arkansas.
Is this for 19?
Yes, sir.
Right around the corner.
Yes, sir.
What
I have 6 months to get this done. I've gone from a year down to 6 months, so it's crunch time.
What it is the PBA has gone and they signed a new contract with Fox Sports. They're moving away from ESPN and going to Fox Sports. They've signed a 5-year agreement and going back to the grassroots where they go center to center instead of going to one center hosting 7 events in 2 weeks and then spread the telecast out. They're actually going to different centers. And as we've been a part of the Extra Frame event the last 3 years, us and Lubbock, Texas were handpicked by the players that we want to add them to the event that were not the normal centers that they would go to for national events.
So as you can see, this is to me, it's a big deal for not only Jonesboro, but for Hijinks. I never thought I would get this close to my dream of hosting a live event, but we are. And I can check that one off my list and figure out what's next that I can help the city with, to bring more people.
I didn't make it out to this year's, but I came last year and I was really impressed. I mean,
Thank you, sir.
it's a big deal for the city. A lot of people that aren't bowlers don't really realize it, but it's a big deal to bring that amount of people into our city. I wish we could have one every weekend.
Well,
My restaurant, I tell you.
I will tell you this. We have a tournament coming up next month that is Arkansas State.
Well, it's actually next weekend, Arkansas Scratch Bowlers Tour.
So
It's just,
we had the youth tournament here for 4 weekends in a row from the state. So that was 4 more weekends that we got hotel rooms. The women's state is 5 weekends, so they come in from all over the state. We bring a lot of tournaments. Plus, Arkansas State, if you've never been, I would love for y'all to come out and see their facility that we've built for Arkansas State, their women's bowling team, which is never ranked lower than 3rd in the nation. In fact, one of the girls that just graduated this year has already won a major title. So Arkansas State bowling program is a big deal. We built them an on-site facility. There's only two in the United States, and we're one of them. So we're promoting people coming in with Arkansas State. We have partnered up with them. So we're trying, again, to bring people in and let them see what a beautiful town we have. I also do want to show you the shirts that we had done. And then it has all the sponsors on the back. So all the pro-am, the amateurs, they get a shirt. And also, so does the special needs. You'd be surprised how many of these are being worn around town and around other towns that people are seeing. So we're trying to advertise as much as we can. And I also have the flyer that we sent out for the entry, has all our sponsors on it. So they go out all around, not just in Arkansas. I sent out 3,000 entries last year. That's a lot of entries. But it's okay. We got some new people that we haven't gotten before. So I'm excited.
You might check with Bill Campbell, the communications director with the city. I know I visited with him last week, and they're working on a city video, and
love
where
it.
he's going to be doing a lot of filming around the city with different sites, and so they might keep from having to do a lot of duplication.
Yes, sir.
So I know they're fixing to work on that pretty soon. So
Yeah, right now I've got an email in conjunction with the PBA
Yep.
trying to see if like national TV spots are available to sell, to be able to offer as part of the sponsorship packages that we go out and gather to help with the offset of the cost, that national TV spots are available. But of course, like with Arkansas State, High Troll, the biggest corporations, I'm sure they will go, St. Bernard's, NEA, they'll go around for those snippets. And of course, yes, if y'all have got a video, then
We'd love it.
we'd love to have it and submit it to them, so that way that would be a part of it.
okay, well, I'll visit with him and have him get in touch with y'all, and then we'll look forward to y'all submitting the application here in the next couple of
As soon
months.
as y'all get it online, I will have
Right.
it filled out
Oh,
the
yeah.
next day.
We appreciate it. Any other questions or any other comments? We appreciate everything y'all are doing
Thank you
because it
very
is a
much.
big event.
Y'all-
work.
Thank
And
you.
again, we'd love for y'all to come out to see the event and just to see what y'all are helping us with, and we appreciate very much.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. We do have another one to add on here with Tim McCall. Tim, do you want to give us an update on the Barbecue Fest?
I'll keep it fairly short. We are in the process right now, as many of you know. We're doing a 2-day event this year instead of 1 day. And we're thankful to have Ritter Communications as one of our big sponsors this year, which has helped us do what we're doing to make it 2 days. Of course, A&P Dollars as well, and then the other sponsors that we've been able to raise some money from as well. So we will have details next week. We are planning on having everything finalized, contracts with both of the large acts that we have. Right now, I mean, I'm not really able to tell you exactly what we have or who we have, but that will come very, very soon. We are literally down to the mail delivery of what's already been signed. So, but I think it's going to be a really good event this year. Like I said, 2 days is a little bit different than one on something this size, but we've been able to put all the pieces together. And
Nights or two.
yes, sir. We're going to have I'll just start from the start. Normally we shut Main Street down on Saturday or Friday night at midnight. We are going to shut it down a little bit earlier on Friday, probably not all day, but a good part of it, and we'll have all those details laid out. We're actually in the process of meeting with the public safety and fire and police and all that as well. And the Downtown Association is involved in what we're doing this year more than they have been in the past as well. But we will have a concert Friday night. The same stage will host both of them. And then we're having our state cook-off, our second annual cook-off, which is held on the Union side of Maine. And last year was the first year we did that, and everybody kept saying, you need to really try to do this. We had a large number of people come out. I'm just off the top of my head, I think we had 40 or 50 participants that showed up, and that it's with the State Cook-Off Association, so it's a national, similar to the Kansas City Barbecue on Saturday. The guy basically said this is one of the best first-year events he's ever seen. So we're like, well, we'll do it again, and we give away quite a bit of money and prizes as well, over 10,000 on Saturday for the barbecue festival. And so we expect to have even more people Friday night just for that in itself. And then you count the people coming for the music that we'll be announcing here soon. We think we'll have a pretty good turnout on Friday night with no problem. And then Saturday will be the same setup as we always have. We will have vendors, some on Friday night, and then the vast majority of Main Street will be vendors, and I believe Hijinks was going to be involved this year with their blow-up toys and things like that, like we've had in the past. So it's coming together. In fact, we're just to the point now we just really can't wait to make it all public. But like I said, you've got contracts and things like that get in the way. So.
What's the date of that?
It's September 28th is Friday, and then September 29th. So it'll be all day September 29th on Saturday, and then Friday evening, September 28th. So, have any questions?
And again, Ritter Communications is stepping up in a big, big way to help
Absolutely.
this in a multi-day event. And our goal, I think, through the A&P and also with Ritter is to continue to expand this. This was kind of the first step into a full weekend event.
And more, and Jerry can attest, we really want to push this more into an arts and entertainment type festival. A lot of neat ideas are out there for what we want to do and can do. But again, this is our first step in the process, hopefully. So.
And we've met with Ritter a couple of times, and they're actively involved in this. And it's one of those things that'd be easy to roll out a full weekend festival, but you've got to be really careful and make sure you have the funding to do that and make sure it goes over well. And so we're going to continue to actively work towards that. So.
I know money's a big concern of yours, as I talk to you regularly, but we are looking very good on our budget. Again, when you have something 2 days, you're paying 2 days for stage, 2 days for porta potties, and they're not cheap if you've ever priced porta potties for 30,000 people downtown. Stage, sound and lights, 2 entertainers, the hotels, food. There's just a lot of little things people don't realize, but we've done a really good job and honestly kept it under budget today.
And the next big step that we just have not figured out how to do, and it probably needs some help, thoughts and ideas, especially from the Downtown Association, is how do you turn this into an event where you start being able to sell tickets to generate?
Right.
That's where we generate a significant amount of revenue. In doing so, you've got to control the access to downtown, and then it really becomes logistics.
We have every year we've thought about that and met numerous times with the police department over the years.
Well, I guarantee somebody's already written that book. You need to read the book.
Well, the problem we've got and we've had is Main Street is a city thoroughfare, and you've got businesses down there that, if you told them you were going to shut the street off and sell tickets to people for people to be able to get down to their event or to their store, there's a lot of caveats to it, and I'm not saying it can't be done or anything like that. And we do have some other ideas, but it's just
The key is making a win-win for everybody.
Yes,
this is the next step of doing it, and we would not be able to pull it off if it wasn't for Ritter.
there's no way. If Ritter Communications was not involved in this year, it would be similar to what one-day event last year.
Yeah.
So.
And again, our goal is trying to make this into an overnight stay for people with this event, because it is a large amount of money from our budget as it is an A&P project. So.
And like I said, we've got a lot of sponsors. There's probably 10 or 15 sponsors right now that are providing cash, and that's not counting the in-kind that we get. And that's even more And I mean, the Parks Department, I mean, every year is out there in the evenings helping us clean up, and public safety, fire and police, and sanitation. I mean, the city, while it's not a City of Jonesboro event, it's an A&P event, you can't help but say the City of Jonesboro is very, very helpful to what we do. And they do that for a lot of other events as well, but we couldn't do it without. I'd spend our whole budget on what I just talked about. Yeah. So, yeah, part of it anyway. But no, it's looking good. We're really excited. We got started later this year than we had wanted to, and we've all visited about that. But I think we've ended up with some musical acts, given everybody starts booking at the first of the year, planning their schedules. So we were not only had, say, a little bit lower dollar amounts for each band than what we've spent on one band in the past. And then on top of that, you have to coordinate their logistics. And, sometimes they'd have to fly in versus drive or if they were on their way to Tunica or Nashville or something like that. But, anyway, it's worked out very well. We're very pleased. Actually, I'm probably as excited this year as I have been in just about any year in the past. And I was thinking about this driving over here. We did the sesquicentennial celebration in 2009. So this would, we're verging on 10 years here now. So if you count that, so it's exciting.
Good job with that.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. It's been fun. I mean, I'll reiterate it as I always do when I hang up with each one of you. Nobody gets paid for what we're doing, but it's kind of the folks that are involved in it, and there's quite a few people, appreciate what everybody does to put something like this on, and we enjoy it. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have a good time doing it. It's
a lot of work.
Plenty of other things I could be doing, but it's we just got a lot of great people in this community, city government, and then the A&P Commission. I served for many years on it as well. A lot of what goes on in this town people overlook, but the A&P Commission are a huge, huge, huge asset in helping our quality of life here in Jonesboro.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, in regard to that steak cook-off, I'm fairly certain that one member of this panel would serve as a judge if the need arose, and I think these guys are vegetarians.
I say this, Bill, are you a vegetarian?
I think Chris is trying to get a spot on there.
We've got a really good group. I mean, we've had more people calling this year than in the past on vendors, the judges on both the steak, and I think we're about squared up on judges already, believe it or not. I can get you a piece of meat.
And
Just eat the left.
one thing we're also working on as part of this is maybe a possible rebranding, name, logo, and everything. So anyway, if y'all have any ideas, we're open. It's got a couple different names: Music Fest, Barbecue Fest, and we want to we want to turn it into arts festival also, and be.
Yeah, Jerry made a comment a minute ago about meeting with Ritter quite a few times. We have had a lot of off the beaten path discussions, sitting around on the phone talking about things we want to do and try to do better and do it differently. And so I think he's right. I mean, I think we'll see some pretty changes coming on in what we're doing. We were talking about the vendors and stuff. We have had, I can't tell you how many calls I get a day from somebody who's got a cotton candy machine, or a company out of, Magnolia who does boiled peanuts and whatever, wanting to come up here, and we do charge for vendor spots. So I was following up with that is we've got our Facebook page and a website, and I was really excited to hear that y'all are putting together a website, because once we get all the applications and everything just finalized, I'll get you a lot of information I'll get that set up. So but probably something next week. We hope to make an announcement, and we'll have all the media will get it, and in town and a lot of others. So
Okay. Thank you for your
Thanks,
work, Tim.
I appreciate it. See y'all later.
Any other reports, follow-up reports that anybody wants to comment on? Sharing everything going well at softball complex?
You do something about the heat and mosquitoes.
Yeah. And we did this is a city project as opposed to A&P, but the new lights, are they up?
The adult end lights are up.
Okay.
And that's been a challenge for us certainly this whole year, but after it's all said and done, it's gonna be so fantastic. It put our adult league behind about 7 weeks, so our adults are actually gonna get through playing, hopefully it don't rain much more, around the end of July.
Okay.
And we have the lights done down there, but they're building the new adult concession stand, so we're working around that construction. They're on the youth end complex now, putting up the lights, so there's no activity there. except for putting up the lights.
Now, the concession stand also has the restroom facilities in it combined, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Umpire's room, new bathrooms, yeah.
And again, that wasn't funded through A&P. We did the backstops, but we kind of worked with the city. I know Joe was very active on the chamber or the city council, not the chamber, the city council finance committee to really work hard towards getting some funding for those areas. So
Yeah,
that,
and all the backstops, I mean, they were all done before the league started, and that's, even with all the other construction, we've had people come in, they love the new backstops, the new netting, and we've got new lights out in the parking lot, city water lights installed those, so we're really making good strides, it's gonna be fantastic when we get it all.
well, we want to continue to work on significant improvements in that area. So we'll just, I know Joe has been an active part of that on the city council side through Parks and Rec, which is separate from A&P, but it's kind of, we all try to work together to make sure we're getting funding for all those areas collectively. So anyway, any other updates? I know we mentioned the Pro Rodeo application was withdrawn there. So any other business? Yes, if you'll mention the follow-up reports. One of the big things, one of the major things when last year is making sure we get proper follow-up reports, proper documentation, and that's one of the things we have tasked Beth with in her new role is to keeping track of that, reviewing those, because it's required. Legislative audit requires it. We're requiring it to make sure we get that. So Beth, I'll let you go ahead and do that.
So I am thrilled to report the system is working. And I have 3 yellow boxes of people who owe reports to us, but they're not outside their 60-day window. It's just once they've hosted their event or we've expended their monies, I put a yellow box to remind myself to look for that. And I have one of those. Corinne just took hers. I'll have to get that back from her. And then we have one other one. Everybody else is up to date. So the system is working.
No taking no laundry there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we, before when it was all volunteers, it was just really hard for us to monitor that. And with Beth coming on as an executive assistant position, she's able to keep up with the dates, call those people to the point of harassment. And but it's required. We're not doing our job if we don't get that. So we appreciate that. Any other new business? Okay. If there's no other business, we will ask for an adjournment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank y'all again. This ends our quarterly report.